Hey guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host. You can follow me on Twitter at @itchjessino. I was preparing for a very different match reaction. I actually went to start to get ready for the stream about 7 minutes before the game ended. And so I was preparing for oh my gosh, we tied Crystal Palace type of reaction. And then Martinelli scored and Pepe scored his second goal. And so now we're talking about something completely different. Not really, actually, though. I mean, like, let's be real. For large parts of that game, we were absolutely shocking. But all that really matters in football is winning and losing, scoring goals, and keeping goals out of the back of your net. And so we passed our assignment for today. I think this game shows us, just like the last couple of games, where we really are lacking. We're lacking in a lot of different areas, but there's some things to be hopeful and excited about, So for me, this game was, for the first maybe 20 minutes of that game, I liked the buildup. I really liked what we were doing in terms of possession. I thought we were getting into good areas, but we were, as usual, a little bit blunt. And we ended up scoring a goal. The goal that we scored in the first half, I thought, was a typical Arsenal goal, a very nice, well-constructed goal with a lot of, the back heel from Saka was so nice. Everything about that goal was really nice from the entire thing. And Pepe with the finish with his right foot, I thought was excellent. And but we need to find different ways to score goals. We can't just score goals when they're perfect. We need to find ways to grind out wins. We need to find ways to score goals on corners. I thought we were really wasteful. I think we had like 3 or 4 corners in the first half that just, we didn't really have anything to offer in that department. So for me, I thought it was just a little bit, it left a little bit to be desired. It still shows where we need to grow and how we need to progress as a team and, as a group and all that kind of stuff. But that first goal was really nice. Let me get into just the flopping and the remonstrating from Zaha. For me, the guy, there's something there that's just not right. I know that he has had a pretty tough time going from Manchester United to Crystal Palace. He's gone through a lot, but you could just tell the guy has like an unnecessary chip on his shoulder. For me, I just think the level of his flopping is just disgusting. What he does on the pitch just takes away from his talent. The yelling, the screaming, the remonstrating, the flopping, the pounding his fists on the ground. I just thought it was just so poor from him. I mean, the guy has so much talent, but wow. I mean, watching it firsthand today, I was like, no wonder this guy is still here. It's not just because Crystal Palace won't sell you. I think it's because I would hate to take a risk on somebody like that. Just a couple of years ago, that was somebody that a lot of Arsenal fans want. And even to this day, a lot of Arsenal fans want him at the club. But I just look at him today and I'm like, wow, you're a shell of the guy. You're a shell of the guy, So let me see what some of you guys are saying. Matt G says, hey, Jess, we didn't deserve to win, but I'll take it. I mean, hey, all that matters is the 3 points, just like Tawana says. AK Gutter says, we can finish 6th if we beat Brighton, Leicester beat Spurs, Manchester City beat Everton, and West Ham draw against Southampton. That's mad. It is. There's a lot to still play for, which is crazy. We've finally gotten ourselves to a point in the season where we are able to benefit from a lot of the other teams kind of capitulating. And this season has been very up and down. It's never been like steady and normal, So now we're in a position that we've won enough games where we're kind of in the mix. So for me, I think that's pretty interesting and a little bit exciting. It gives us something to look forward to. GK says, evening, how are you? Austin says, what's up, Jesse? Hey, how are you? I'm good. Flossneck says, first half was all right, but no urgency, desire for the second goal. A lot of possession with the handbrake on. I mean, there's the way that we play is okay until we get into the final third, and then we just kind of like lose our way. There's a lot of moves that die at the feet of certain players. I mean, if we can look at somebody like Aubameyang, I don't think he was really helping us out. The crosses that we do, sometimes I think we just wait a little bit too long and we give the defenders a chance to set up, and then we end up with a corner or something like that. And it just kind of seems like there's an aspect of attacking that we have not gotten to. And I don't know. I think it's a combination of personnel and just the way that we play, which is something that needs to be addressed. GK says Zaha is the biggest overhyped player, big crybaby Neymar-like. I mean, Neymar-like, but without 10% of the talent. Like, I mean, the guy needs to just stop. He needs to stop. He needs to stop. Like, wow. Noel says happy with the result, but my God, why did we let the second half turn into that kind of half? We had control, take the initiative and finish them, but oh, just push, damn it. I mean, yes. I mean, you could just tell when the second half started. I don't know what Roy Hodgson said to them, but it seemed like he might have said something to the effect of, just press the guys, just press them, get physical with them, and they'll give up the ball. And that's essentially what happened. They kind of let us play in the first half. They gave us room. And when you give us room, we look really, really good. When you give us time and space on the ball, we look really, really good. When you start to put a body on us, when you start to press us and make us kind of like be more urgent, we can't rise to that occasion. We're just not that type of team at the moment. And you saw Benteke and Townsend and Zaha kind of converging on our midfield players. They were losing the ball and they were in on goal and in on holding chambers, and it was just a mess. That in conjunction with the fans and them making a lot of noise, I think we got a little bit rattled. And once again, we don't have David Luiz, we don't have Xhaka, two of our more senior experienced individuals out there. And we had no leadership out there. So I'm not sure how we were going to calm that game down and kind of get our equilibrium back. And that's just kind of what I saw at the beginning of the second half. And sometimes you just need your individual brilliance to come out and play sometimes. Every game is not going to go your way. It's just not. And because we play on such fine margins and we're just not good enough, I think in times like this earlier in the season, we were looking for some of our players to just bail us out. And this time they did. Pepe and Martinelli stepped up, bailed us out, and we move on and we live to see another day. At the beginning of the season, when this was happening, playing on fine margins, playing well in certain parts of the game, playing bad in others, we were looking for players like Aubameyang and Willian to step up, and they just didn't. So I think we're seeing once again that our best players are our younger players. Our best players are Pepe, Martinelli, Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, and Tierney, these types of players. It just continuously shows back up like every single game. Alexander G says this game totally showed the only signings we need this summer are midfield, and more midfield. Yes, we will definitely address that in a second. Let's see. H7 says, I like Zaha. He's angry because he knows his team is he's in a team that don't attack. It's borderline like just crybaby for me. I mean, angry is one thing, like, really aggressive and stuff, but the way he remonstrates, the way he just eyes bucked out of his head, just like screaming and yelling, it's just like, bro, just play the game. Like sometimes you just got to go ahead and play, like show your quality through the way that you play and not the fact that you think you should be getting getting fouls all the time. That's just how I feel about him. So something else that we kind of need to talk about, we kind of talked about Zaha a little bit. Let's talk about Benteke. I just think, I know that we can, as Arsenal fans, we can always look kind of like those people with tinfoil hats, like we're always looking for a conspiracy theory. But I mean, if Xhaka had did to somebody on Crystal Palace what Benteke did to El Neni, they would have been off. Like they would have been off. Like I don't really understand this level of like, sometimes it's a red, other times it isn't. At the very beginning of the game, there was a tackle that Schlupp did on Callum Chambers, and the commentators in America were saying, oh, I mean, at this time in the game, is that a red card? I don't give a crap what time of the game it is. If it's the very first minute, first 30 seconds, you slide in on somebody and you almost break their ankle, it's a freaking red. What world are we living in? I've never seen an Arsenal player given grace on a bad tackle that they've done based on what time of the game it was. And if we had elbowed anybody in the face, it would have been a red card. The guy shouldn't have been on the pitch, but you kind of knew from the moment that he didn't get that red card that he would be the guy to score on us, didn't you? I mean, you guys let me know in the chat box if you knew, just like I knew, he was going to equalize the game, because that's just how Arsenal works, you know? So I thought he should have been off, you know, but I wasn't surprised that he scored the goal against us. I mean, he's in form right now, and the way he bullied Gabriel and the way he was bullying Chambers and Holding, I think shows us a little bit that our back line needs some work too. Your center backs need to be the type of players that you can count on to bust a striker up. You know, Benteke is 1,000 years old. I know he's big and strong, but could you put a body on him? I mean, it took Chambers and Holding to hold the guy down. And I just think from the back to the front, we lack physicality. I think we lacked athleticism, but even more than that, we lack physicality. We're unable to play physically. So I think Roy Hodgson literally just told them at halftime, put a body on them and they'll crumble. And that's what happened. You guys can let me know in the chat box if you agree. But for me, our lack of physicality is an issue, because if you're not, we either like need to be so technically brilliant that it doesn't really matter. We used to get away with that in the back in the day, is that we were so technically good that even though we could be bumped off of the ball and kind of bullied, it didn't matter, because we could dribble around you, we could pass around you, we could get past you, we would pass around you in circles. Now we lack footballing IQ, technical quality, athleticism, and physicality. What is this? We have nothing. So it's definitely an issue for sure. Let's see. Joel says, what do you think is going on with Partey? I think he played fine in the first half. I really didn't have an issue with Thomas Partey in the first half. I think in the second half, he struggled, but the entire team was struggling. And if we can talk about the midfield for just a second, I think it's important to say that for me, the man of the match was Elneny, by far. Pepe, I know he scored the 2 goals. A lot of people will choose him, but I think Elneny was very, very good today. And I understand why Arteta took Thomas out and left Elneny in. I wasn't impressed by the substitution. You guys know I'm a huge Thomas Partey fan. So for me, I was like, why would you take out Thomas? But I understand why. Elneny was doing everything that was necessary in that position. I thought he was really solid. Passing was good. He was winning the ball back. He was mobile. He was aggressive. He was winning us fouls. He was where he needed to be. He was passing forward. He passed backward when he needed to. The guy was everywhere, and he was excellent. With Thomas, he fell off in the second half. And I think what we're seeing is that I think there's there's something wrong with his fitness, because when you get injured so frequently in a season in the way that how we've been playing, I don't think he ever really got up to speed. And it just kind of seems like he always falls off around the 60th minute mark. So I think Arteta took him out because he couldn't count on him he started to make mistakes literally on the 60th minute mark. And that's kind of just how it is. So I think he's lacking fitness. And then when he lacks fitness, he lacks concentration, and then he starts to make mistakes that he wasn't making. I mean, he was relatively flawless in the first half. And then he goes from up here all the way down. And I just think it's a fitness issue. Let's see. Jesus or Jesus. I'm sorry, I don't know which way to pronounce that. But Elneny is so underrated. There's a lot of people that are saying that we should get rid of Elneny. He's like the first person on their list. I am not of that same. I think Elneny is a perfectly fine squad player. I really, really do. He's on decent wages. He's on 50 grand a week. He's on 50 grand a week. Cedric makes more than him. And Cedric is less valuable to our team than Elneny at the moment. So I think Elneny was good. I think he's a good squad player. He's not problematic at all. Like, everybody seems to like him. He works hard. So for me, I think Elneny was great today, and he showed his quality. And look, he's a squad player. I don't think we really need to be like trying to get rid of him at the moment. That's just me though. Let's see. Boundless Review says Elneny was good, played some good passes and good defensive work. Exactly. He was good. Michael says, hard to be physical when we are held to a different standard for fouls and cards. I mean, I get that aspect, but I just think overall the physical aspect of our team, like our physicality is lacking. You know, it's from center backs all the way through the spine of our team. Literally, our center backs are weak. Our central midfielders are not as strong as I feel like they should be. And then our strikers are also don't add any physical element to our front line either. So yeah, that's what I think about that. So now, what else should we talk about? I mean, we pretty much talked about everything. Yeah, I don't want to overstate the game because I'm telling you guys, like 10 minutes prior to Gabriel Martinelli's goal, it was kind of like we were poor. You know, so I don't want to get like overboard and just say like, okay, well, all is fine. It's not. But I do think that we have a long way to go in terms of our chance creation up until Gabriel or Martinelli scored his goal. I think we had 0 shots on goal in the second half. That's poor. That's poor. I don't care who we're playing. That's unacceptable for a team that feels like they should be in Champions League spots or European spots at all. You know, so yeah, I definitely think that we need to definitely like work on that for sure. Some people are asking about Arteta. Like, do I still want Arteta to be sacked? I mean, the thing is that he should never been the manager to begin with. You know, I believe that 110%. And I think that any manager that has us in the position that we're in right now, ninth place or wherever the hell we are, should not be Arsenal manager, but he is, you know, so right now, because I don't think he's going to go anywhere, I think he needs to improve quickly, you know, and we'll see what happens next season in the beginning. What do I think is Gabby as a striker? I mean, I think he needs to grow into the position. I don't think he's not physically developed enough for it on a regular basis, but I think he can play all across that front line. And I think that's more important than what position does he need to be pigeonholed into. I think you look at players like Diego Jota, he could play on the right, left, or center. And I think that's more of the type of player that we need to be developing Martinelli into versus like, does he need to be striker or left wing? I think if he can play any of those positions and just create chaos, which is what he's really good at, I think that is what I'm more looking forward to for me. Rancid Pumpkin. The highlight of today's game is the fact that the season is almost done. I mean, hey, I think we're all kind of waiting for it to be over. GK says that physicality bit overstated. Look, everybody wants something different in the team. Some people are like, we need more technically gifted players. Like if we all, you know, all 55 of us that are watching, so 55 likes would be great. Bink. You know, but if all 55 of us talk, you know, put the three things that we'd want this team to look like, or players that we want to add to the team, if we could add anybody, I think we'd all come up with different things because we want something different from an Arsenal team. For me, I grew up watching the Invincibles. That's the team that I know and love. So we were physically dominant. We were athletic. We were taller. We were stronger. We could go from box to box and sideline to sideline. I watched Vieira and Gilberto, these types of players, Sol Campbell, Kolo Toure. Some people grew up watching an Arsenal team that was more technical. You know, you grew up with Cesc and Nasri and these types of players dribbling around people, Santi Cazorla, Ozil, these types. So depending on what you think is a successful Arsenal team, you'll want something a little bit different. For me, I would like to see more athleticism and more physicality, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want footballing IQ. I think there are players out there that are a lot more well-rounded, but we just don't recruit them. We don't look at them. And I think well-roundedness in a player is really important. If you have too many specialists in the team, you end up with players like Xhaka that can only play with certain types of players in certain type of circumstances. I think with Emil Smith Rowe and Saka, what you're seeing is they're players that, as they grow and develop, they will have the athleticism and the physicality that's necessary to play in this league, but they also will have the footballing IQ and the technical quality. And I think that's what we're missing. We're missing well-rounded players. So for me, even though I want more physicality and things like that, no, I don't want a bunch of Sissokos running around. Of course not. But for me, I think it is an issue, especially in the back, in our center back pairings, and up front with our strikers. I just don't think there's enough. I mean, what do you guys want to see? You guys let me know in the chat box. Like, what do you think, if you have to say like one thing in particular that you want to see from players that are being brought in? Is it physicality? Is it technical quality? Is it footballing IQ? Let me know. I mean, because I think we need it all, but some people want more of one thing than another. There's a lot of people that don't think athleticism is an issue in our team, and I tend to disagree. Let's see. Boundless Review says Martinelli looks more effective from the left right now. Yeah, he does. And he's also said in the past that he views himself as a left winger. So he probably doesn't second guess himself in that position. But I would love to see him play in either position. I just want to see him across the front three in the game, causing chaos wherever that is on the pitch. Exactly. Gabby is Alexis-esque. He is just a forward. I agree with that. Don Giovanni says we need more complete players with technical ability, athleticism, or mobility and decision-making. Players like Saka, ESR, Partey, Tierney, Gabriel, everyone else is holding us back. I 100% agree with you, Don. I think we need more well-rounded players. And Saka and ESR are those types of players. And we just don't, I think we need to kind of steer clear of specialists, because that's when you get pigeonholed. So I completely agree with that 110%. And saying that you want somebody with more physicality or athleticism doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically saying you don't want footballing IQ. I think it's a weird kind of assumption that if you're athletic, that you don't possess footballing IQ. And that's a problematic statement for me. And I won't really go any further into it, but yeah. New Dawn Game says, great cross from Odegaard, by the way. Yeah, Odegaard, that was a good cross. I wasn't excited about him being subbed in, to be honest. But yeah, that was a good cross by him. Why I got to do Sissoko? He's a Spurs player. Of course I'm going to crap on him. And Giovanni says, Leno, Aubameyang, Xhaka, Holding, limit our ceiling. Yeah, they're very limited players. They're very specific players. Boundless says, pace, power, and technique. Okay. Noel says footballing IQ over anything if we had to prioritize. Okay. GK says, I understand, but that Invincible team was far more than physicality. Vieira was technically was another level, same as Cole, our wingers, and don't have to mention the forwards. I mean, exactly. But that's what I'm trying to explain, is that just because I'm saying that they're physical doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying that they didn't have technical quality. I understand that. I watched that team day in and day out, but they were well-rounded players, but they also possess that physicality that we don't have. And for me, I think if you have a bunch of really technical players, but you lack the physical element, you're going to get bullied in this league, because this league is way more physical than Serie A, way more physical than La Liga. So those players were more well-rounded, but something that they pretty much all possessed was the ability to run, to be physical, to win their physical battles. And those are things that we just don't have, on top of the fact that they were smarter and better and world-class players. So, Flossnuck says, I don't think specialists can be very important if the team is well-rounded and cleverly assembled, which is not the case right now. Exactly. Yeah, yes. There's a lot to play for. There's still, well, is there a lot to play for? I still think there's a lot to play for, right? So let's look at the thing real quick. The standings at the moment, when we look at them, we have 58 points, and then Everton and Tottenham have 59, West Ham is tied at the minute with West Brom. So we just have to kind of see what's going on with them. But there's still a lot to play for. I think at this point, Arteta's going to hope that we can get into some sort of European competition. I'd prefer not to be in that Europa Conference League, but I mean, I want us to win games, like, period, so, and we're on a pretty good run right now. We won the last 4 games. So I would like to, at the end of the season, say that we won our last 5 games, so it is what it is. It's all to play for on that last day. We play Brighton, which is not an easy team to play. We never really play that well against Brighton for me. The last time we played against them, we won 1-0, and it was like one of those dead games. That was the one where Lacazette came in and scored, like as soon as he came in. So, hopefully we win the game, and we'll see where we end up. I'm not going to overthink it. Michael, thank you for being here. See you on the next one. New Dawn Games says, if we finish above Spurs on the last day, would you sign Kane just to troll their fans? Oh, gosh, no. You guys, I got to be honest with you. I can't stand Harry Kane. And I think it's the element that I'm not British, so I have no real connection to him, and I have no need or want for him to be good or play well. I cringe every time he scores a goal. I cringe when I see his face. Can't stand him. So even if he would improve us, to be honest, I just couldn't do it, so sorry, no thanks. Rodeo Boy says we can still get Europa. I mean, hey, that would be crazy, wouldn't it, if we still got Europa after the kind of season that we had. Don Giovanni says specialists can always be exploited or taken out of games by better teams. Pep even got rid of players like Ronaldinho because of this principle. Yeah. Let's not mention Pep getting rid of Ronaldinho. If you guys know anything about me, I love Ronaldinho, my favorite player. And I stopped following Barcelona, stopped supporting Barcelona the minute he left, and Pep got rid of him. I love Pep now as Man City manager, but it took me a very, very long time to get over that. Scars were deep, but I agree with that. You guys want to do a little bit of Q&A for the next couple of 15 minutes? Go ahead and drop there's about 50 of you guys watching. So just go ahead and drop some of your questions in there, and we can chat a little bit longer. Again, we won the game 3-1. Couldn't be happier about it. For me, it's if we win the game, good. There's obviously still things that we need to work on, but hopefully we will address those issues in the summer, and we'll be able to bring in better players. I also think Arteta needs to maybe modify the way that he goes about our attacking play. I think he's really improved us defensively, but at the same time, we still lack in attack. We're not able to create clear-cut chances we can't create a lot of them. We can't sustain pressure. I think that's my issue, is that we don't sustain pressure when we have teams on the ropes. We kind of let them off the hook. And I think those are things that he needs to improve. But I can say that at the beginning, when he first came in, he tried to fix the defense, and he pretty much did that. Then we couldn't build up through the middle third. Then we kind of did that. Now we're trying to figure out the last piece, which is the attacking aspect. So, hey, there's that. Let's see. Just realistically, how many of these players do you rate? Put sentiment to the side, throw in their inconsistency and who often stands out. I count 3 or 4 at the most, and Partey and Pepe aren't in that 4. I would say Saka, ESR, Martinelli, Tierney. I rate Thomas. For me, I'm not going to turn on him because he was dropped into an inconsistent, poor, horribly balanced, under the cosh all the time Arsenal team with Xhaka as his midfield partner, Ceballos as his midfield partner, injuries. For me, I'm going to give the guy grace. I can't. You can't get in a world-class player and then just turn your back on him because he was dropped into a crap team and he's not playing as good as you expect. So for me, Thomas is in there for me. I rate Pepe's talent. I think he's pretty much crap for the entire game, but what he can create in individual moments for me would give him more time. So for me, Party, Pepe, ESR, Saka, Tierney, and Martinelli. So it's like 6 players, really. New Dawn Games says the way you feel about Ronaldinho is how I feel about Messi and Barcelona. So essentially, if Messi leaves, you won't support Barcelona anymore. Is that what you're saying? Because like literally, I was like a huge Barcelona fan, and the moment that Pep got rid of Ronaldinho, all of the love for that club just like went away for me. Couldn't stand them after that. Did he get rid of Ronaldinho because he liked to party? I think he got rid of Ronaldinho because Ronaldinho is expressive. He's one of those types of players that he can't be corralled. He's not going to play a system. And when you look at, even if you look at Arteta and the way that he kind of manages is similar to Pep in that way where they don't really like that individual brilliance, and that once you cross the halfway line, express yourselves, it's a very rigid, robotic way of doing things and creating autonomism. So people, they basically think for the players. And so all you have to do is just kind of execute those different passes and patterns of play. And you even, I think it was like, what is the documentary called? One of you guys will put it in the comment section. But there's a documentary about Pep and his time at Barcelona. And even Thierry Henry had talked about how he had kind of went off course on one of their patterns of play and scored a goal, and then he got dropped. And I just think that level of creativity and just free flowing love for the game, just kind of go with what you know, go with your talent and all that kind of stuff, doesn't really align with Pep's philosophy. And Ronaldinho is like the quintessential, one of the last players that played with that type of freedom. And Pep was like, I'm going in a different direction, albeit a very successful direction. He's been successful everywhere that he's went, playing in this way. But for me, because I prefer more of I really like the way that Ronaldinho and that Brazilian team played. I loved it. It was entertaining. They were successful, but when it was bad, it was bad. That's just kind of how it goes. You can't really, either it's really, really good or it's really, really bad, So that's pretty much how I thought of that whole situation. May have had something to do with the partying, but I think it was mostly just because of what he did on the field. Flossneck says, which kits are you going to buy this summer if you do? I really want the yellow one. I really want that yellow one. But I don't like the blue one. If that's actually what it is, I don't love the blue one. And I also don't like the home kit. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, the yellow one is popping. I mean, it looked good. Even with the yellow shorts, I thought it was nice, so probably the yellow one. Looking for the question. Maxwell says, Jess, do you think El Neni is the best partner for Party? This is the 3rd game that they play together and they have solid. I do think that they work pretty well together. I think it gives Party a different role. I think he can be a little bit more mobile and move around a little bit more with El Neni versus when he's with Xhaka, he kind of has to hold Xhaka's hand a little bit and stay near him. The only time that El Neni and Thomas didn't work was against Aston Villa. And I think that was more about the way that the team was playing and the fact that they were playing like crap than that particular partnership. But yeah, I would think that they're the most solid, for sure. Especially if El Neni continues to pass forward the way that he did today. And I thought in the first half, Thomas was finding some really nice balls in between the lines. Like I thought it was a nice little combo there. Noel says, top 3 right back option you like to see us go for. Emerson Royale, Mukele, and Max Aarons, off the top of my head. I think Mukele is the right physical profile. I think he plays in a 3 more. He either plays wing back or right-sided center back, not a true right back. And I don't really see us going to a 3-back system. So that may take him out of the running for me. And I think Leipzig would want a lot of money for him. I also don't see them selling Upamecano and Konate and Mukele all in one window. But other than that, I think he's a really good option. I think Max Aarons is also a really good option because he's English. He would help us with our homegrown quota. He can defend and go forward. I like him a lot. 21 years old. And then I think Emerson Royale would be a good choice, but I think he's going for Villarreal. So we'll see. Yo-Yo says, always preferred Wenger ball to Pep style. I mean, those are the two, I think, if you want to play Pep ball, you have to have those type of technicians. Like, you have to have them. And we don't have it. So when we play that way, it just comes off a little bit like dead, So I think that's true. And Wenger ball was, as soon as you cross the halfway line, you guys just do what you want to do. And some of the things that those players came up with. I mean, even the years with like Cesc and Nasri, some of the things that they would do was just like, oh my gosh, this is so nice, But we're going towards more of a Pep ball thing. I think we can kind of see that. And we need better technicians for that. We need more footballing IQ and more technicians too. Yo-Yo said, this game showed that Santi's replacement should be a priority. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Any options that you guys have seen for Santi replacements? For me, Santi was so good. I think somebody that is kind of like Santi is Tielemans, but he's not somebody that we could bring in. But I think he has that same kind of passing range that Santi had. So you guys let me know. Don Giovanni says, assuming that we don't bring in a right-sided center back, who is your partnership for next season? We can't be forced to watch Holding anymore. I mean, that's pretty much the situation that we're in. You're either going to play Saliba or you're going to play Holding, and for me, I mean, if you look at the way that Holding and them were getting bullied, I think Saliba is big and physically imposing, but something that people have been pointing out that's really, really true. And it's really not like a dig at Saliba, but he's not good at heading the ball, so I'm not sure if he would be able to handle the Dominic Calvert-Lewins and the Christian Benteke's and the Harry Kanes of this league that are really physical and like to, head the ball and be and get into the mix in the box, so I'm really afraid to just throw Saliba in. I really, really am. I mean, we all kind of watched the FA Cup. I don't think it was the FA Cup. It was the game that Chelsea and Leicester played after the FA Cup. And Fana was making a lot of mistakes, even in a back three, even with cushion, even with having some extra help back there. And I just wonder to myself, are the fans going to be nice and supportive of Saliba when he's making those same mistakes? Because he looks good on compilations. He looks good in France. His stats and what he can offer from a potential standpoint is probably more than what Holding will. But are we going to give him the time to do those things without all the pressure? So for me, I would say Gabriel and Holding would be what I would start with, but I would slowly ease Saliba in. But I mean, the first game of the season, no, I'm not starting Saliba because I just know this fan base too well. I just don't think that they will be, after a couple of bad moments, that'll be it. And the last thing we want to do is hurt that relationship any further. New Dawn Game says, goodbye Holding. Tonight really cemented it for me. What did he do that was like really, really wrong? I have to go back and watch the game. I really focused on the midfield in this game. And the back line was just what it was. I thought Gabriel was so poor for Benteke's goal, to be honest. I mean, you're too big to be getting bullied like that, So what did Holding like really do today that cemented it? Because I think Holding has just been so bang average the entire season. New Dawn says, if you could sum up tonight's game in a single word, what would it be? Typical. I would say typical. But I'm going to contradict myself a little bit because the only thing that was not typical about this game is that we actually were able to win. But the way that the game went, the way that we were dominant for the first 15 to 20 minutes, you could see we were a little rattled when we didn't immediately score. scoring one of her perfect goals coming into the second half, almost thinking that Crystal Palace was just going to continue to play the same way, being shocked when they put bodies on us and started to push us around, capitulating and giving up a really soft goal on a free kick. Typical. That's the word I could use, really. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for the match reaction. What's today? Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow we'll do post-match show after I rewatch the game, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, and we'll just continue on. On Monday, we're going to continue with our squad building podcast with George and Harry and Kelly. We'll be finishing up that series, or the second part of that. So look out for that on Monday. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends. Get into that comment section. Let me know what you thought. And we'll talk on the next one. I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.